The December balance update is settling, and we have seen some significant shakeups. There are two major impacts to the arena you should mind. First, a new expansion bonus means you'll see more Rastakhan cards. Remember our previous video? We highlighted many key cards, and they will now have a higher impact in the meta. Second, many cards have either moved up or down a bucket. In general, better cards are now in higher buckets, and vice versa. This is a game changer in terms of class balance. Specifically, Warrior is the only class that had several premium cards being moved up in this update. As these cards are now in higher buckets, the deck quality of Warrior should decrease as you have to make harder decisions and pass other good cards. Now let's talk a bit about the class tier list. The top 3 classes are Warrior, Rogue, and Hunter. All 3 classes play and draft very differently from one another. Warriors received Dragon Roar and Soul Thraze this expansion, which allowed them to consistently draft a control-style deck. These decks will try to outvalue you with weapons, efficient removals, and card generation. At the same time, Warriors can maintain their health with good taunts and a decent early game curve that strives for 6/3 drops and 4/4 drops. Rogue is another story. The early game plan is the same, but you want to win the board as early as possible. Drafting some 1-mana cards are ideal to take control in the board early and act as combo activators. You also want 6/3 drops and 4/4 drops. For late game, you ideally want only annoying sticky minions, or at least minions with taunt. Because you avoid many late game cards, card draw becomes very important for Rogue in case there's a board wipe. One very crucial component of having a successful Rogue deck is having the right amount of hard removal. You want to ideally have 4 to 5 of these cards. Too many and your hand will become clunky and passive. Too little and you run out of steam if your opponent drops any mid-sized taunt. You typically cannot outvalue a Warrior, but you can rush them down by using hard removal on their large taunts and playing around Warpath. Then we have Hunter. This is the first meta in Arena where Hunter and Warrior are ranked among the top 3 classes. The Hunter game plan is much more aggressive. In Rastakhan's Rumble, they received Headhunter's Hatchet, Baited Arrow, and Spring Paw. All 3 cards facilitate the aggressive playstyle. A successful Hunter deck relies on a great early game curve of 3 1-drops, 6 3-drops, and 4 4-drops. It's very similar to Rogue with the exception of prioritizing more 2-drops. The Hatchet is basically an auto pick and can often win you many games by dominating the board early. Hunter also has better early game cards than Rogue. This means they're able to hit face way earlier and use the hero power to close games. With more cards in the pool, there's also less taunts running around. A good Hunter deck that runs 2 to 3 hard removal cards such as Hunter's Mark and Deadly Shot can pass the couple of taunts you see in a game to kill the opponent before they stabilize. An honorable class mention after the top 3 is Mage. Jaina feels really good right now with the existence of Blast Wave and Pyromaniac. Blast Wave is significantly under-bucketed, which means that you'll almost always take the first Blast Wave. This card is a huge game changer when sticky minions such as Violent Worm, Egg Napper, and Grim Necromancer are still extremely common. Like every other class we've discussed, you want to hit the 6 3-drops and 4 4-drops curve with 6 playable 1 to 2 mana cards for an early game curve. You should also aim to have 2 to 3 board clears, 2 to 3 hard removals, and 1 to 2 card draws to draft a well-balanced mid-range deck. Pyromaniac is a premium early game minion that has the added bonus of potentially drawing you multiple cards. After these 4 classes, you have Warlock, Priest, Druid, and Paladin clearly in a lower tier. We aren't going to talk too much about these classes as they're rather one-dimensional. Warlock plays best when drafted as a Zoo-style deck, prioritizing a lower curve than any of the top 3 classes while having 2 to 3 large removal cards to overcome big taunts. Priest is still mostly a control class. It has the potential to outvalue Warriors, but it's remarkably weak against aggressive classes if Anduin doesn't draw his board clears. Druid, much like Warlock, plays best with an aggressive token style in mind. You draft a solid early game curve and you want 4 to 5 board buff cards that act as finishers to overwhelm the opponent. Paladin, again, operates very similarly to Druid and Warlock. However, because Paladin have very little comeback tools compared to the other classes, you prioritize cards with initiative a lot more. These cards keep you on the board long enough for your finishers to land and overwhelm the opponent. The problem with Paladin is that it really relies on getting lucky with your draft, as many of their game-winning cards are bucketed very highly, and if you don't get offered any of them, you can only go so far when an average Warlock deck can just beat you with sheer card draw. The only class we haven't talked about is Shaman. Shaman have not received anything truly impactful from Rastakhan, and Overload is still a major problem in Arena. With most classes curving out strong from turn 3 to 5, Overload can make your turns really awkward and you'll still lose the board quickly. Additionally, Shaman has several poorly statted minions that can lose you the board early on, and the class does not have enough recovery to mount a comeback. It's unfortunately the class to avoid right now. The most common classes you see are Mage, Warrior, and Hunter. With this in mind, here are a few things to think about. Taunts are really good in this meta. With the lack of taunts overall, any mid-sized taunt such as Lone Champion, Sunwalker, or Rotten Applebomb can throw a major wrench in the Hunter's game plan. Games can often be won against a Hunter as they eventually run out of juice despite their consistent strong early game start. Taunts make it possible for the opponent's Super Collider to have less control over your board. As stated in all class discussions, drafting good 3-mana minions are extremely important in this meta. If you don't draft enough, it doesn't matter if you're aggressive, mid-range, or control. If you skip your turn 3 or even play a subpar 3-drop, you risk losing the board immediately to your opponent's premium 3-drops. At the same time, to complement the curve, you want a few small removals since there are a lot of small but poisonous minions that can ruin your day. Lastly, a piece of meta advice. Since Hunter and Warrior are on top, it's very difficult to draft a control-style deck if you aren't a warrior yourself. It's important to play something each turn. This means most of your deck should be somewhat mid-rangey. As described, it means having a lot of 3s, some 4s, a balance of small and large removals, some card draw, and some annoying finishers. And this wraps up the Arena Report. We are truly entering one of the golden ages of Arena with these recent updates, and Arena feels so much more refreshing with actual new cards in the pool. And, of course, saving the best news for last, the removal of mind control tech from Arena. Remember this little pink gnome ruining your day in Arena before he contaminated Standard as well? Well, now we can finally spend a jolly good time in Arena without this dangerous menace creeping about. We hope you give Arena a try and learn something from our video. As always, please like and subscribe for more quality Hearthstone content.